3.
And welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today, and that's an excellent question, on June 12th, 2024, at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary reason, and that is to remind... I think I got the date wrong. If I did, it's actually June 14th, 2024.
It's the 14th.
Yeah. Gives you an idea how my day is going, doesn't it? But I have returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use, and the philosophies I talk about are the same philosophies that I literally guide virtually every movement I make. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people with various degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, today we're looking at living positively in a negatively saturated world. We're going to start with just the energy behind it. Then we'll progress over the course of the next 5 days through your personal life, societies, the entire universes, and then we're going to get into the creative side as to how to make it all happen. With this in mind, before I go any further, I'm just going to scroll up here. And we have Woo in with the gold. Woo Riders, how you doing? Glad to see you again. Hate to tell you this, Woo, but gold for all. I appreciate the thought, but it's one of the glitches that we actually have in society. Okay, and we'll get to a whole list of them. I'm not going to dwell a lot on the negative. Only going to point out some pretty big ones, at least from my experience. LA, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I know your day is getting hectic. Can you believe how quick the time is vanishing here? As far as how long it takes us it's been since we've actually met and how quick it's coming up. Dogface, you are in with the silver. How you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm sure things have been hectic around your end because they usually are. Dan Moonhawk, nice to see you at this point. Well, I notice you usually end up coming in late in the day, so this is really a welcome shift. And let's scroll down here, and we have, as a matter of fact, what have we got? I think I screwed something up there, which isn't a surprise today. We'll get gold. Dogface gets a silver. Moonhawk, you're actually in with the bronze. And Storm, how you doing? Hopefully it'll be a little quieter on your end today. That would be nice. And Kevin, you are in with honorable mention. Hopefully things are moving nicely. And Joe Stewart, welcome in. Welcome on board. And now, here's the thing. How do you live positively in a negatively supercharged world or a saturated world? Now, let's be clear about something. I've had lots of people tell me, "Oh, you've got such a positive outlook on life." Rest assured, not as positive as you might think. But that is why I decided to look at this, because you've got one of two choices. You can look at the things that are going sour and you can focus on those. And you can pray somebody's going to step up and change the game plan so that you don't have to deal with the negative anymore. In a nutshell, not likely to happen. You're going to have to face your own annoyances. Okay? But you don't have to be in a position of societal power to do it. So let's take a look at a few things. And just to make sure I don't get rambled on them, I'm just going to make sure. I should have made notes before, but I got a little sidetracked. Matter of fact, before I get into it, I did tell you guys I was going to see about getting about getting a suit, a little upbeat. Well, I checked both of the suits I had in my closet. Okay, the blazer on both of them ended about there, about just about a third of the way, but from the elbow to the wrist. That's where the suits ended. I've always had longer than normal arms, if you will. I didn't check the pants, and I figured they go really well together. I'm going to give my kids first dibs on them because they were my dad's. But if they don't have any use for them, they're going to go. I'll give family first options, except for the one pendant. This particular pendant, Dad wore for years. I know you can't tell what it is really, but it's an eagle. Okay, it's a bald eagle. I think bald, but copper in the wings, gold for the mid part of the wing, like copper in the center of the wings. The mid ring is gold, and I think by the look of it, it's probably a pewter eagle. But then, because it fits over my neck completely without me undoing it, works out really well. But I managed to get my ring back, to wear my ring that my brother gave me. I dropped 60 pounds. I can't wear it anymore. And of course, my other half got me the one ring to rule them all. The actual replica of it. Not the... Obviously, I didn't get the one out of Hollywood. But I now am able to actually wear it. And the nice thing here, this particular... The chain, so to speak, is woven. It's hand-woven leather. This is about as far up the beaten path as I go. Now, like I said, I was gonna upgrade. Well, it didn't work out as far as the suit and tie went. That's as close to a tie as I'm ever gonna get. Pendant works nicely for me. But something we gotta realize that worked well. Something we gotta realize about the way that this world is. Now, so many people go, when is the government going to straighten this out? When is the government going to come out and acknowledge everything's happening? Get it organized in your own head. They haven't done it in several thousand years. I can't see it changing in your lifetime. But when I talk about the systems being in place properly, okay, we start with the government. It's set up in a tiered situation. Now, yes, it's a screwball around the world. Okay, I don't know of one country whose government is on the up and up. And I'm not well versed, so maybe there's one out there. Okay, but you've got to have a set of laws that apply to everybody. Then that's what the premise was. Okay, problem is that's not what's happening. And so I'm not going to dwell on the big issue. Okay, the system is set up properly. But I did notice something, and intriguingly, I actually found it while reading the Bible. Okay, as I told you, I'm a very firm believer in God and in Christ. So I'm reading the Bible. I stumbled across something remarkable. You go way back several thousand years. Okay, all of the leaders were in their 30s. Okay, now, why, pray tell, has that changed? Here's a glitch in the setup. Around the world, people are being put in positions of power in the last 5 to 10 years of their life. Okay, we are talking about people that have no sense of ha-ha anymore, whose ideas are still dating back 50 years. And you're wondering why society's having trouble. It might be an idea to start looking at some of the younger people that are coming up, trying to get into office. It may be in society's best interest to start looking and bringing young blood in, instead of going, okay, well, you're already 1 foot in the grave and another one in a banana peel. Yeah, let's put you in office because, and the reality is, you put somebody that old in office, the reality is they aren't going to have to deal with the side effects of whatever changes they make. They don't have to live with it. Okay. Now, yes, this is my opinion, so let's be straight about that. Okay. The reality is, all I'm doing is saying it's a glitch. The system is set up properly, but we've got to start utilizing it as such. Okay. Now, that applies to your governments. It also applies to the churches. Okay. When you put a new pope in, and I don't know what the leaders of the other churches are called, but when you put someone in a position of power that is already in their 80s, how much do you think they're going to be able to concentrate on benefits for society, on benefits for their clergy? Okay. Realistically, they're already in an age where medical society is telling you, you get to that old age, your body's going to break down, you're going to go blind, you're going to have trouble with your teeth, arthritis is going to riddle you. So we take somebody that's in their late 70s, early 80s, and go, you guide the people spiritually. Okay, now I know in my case, at that age, I'm going to be looking at it and going, where do I get my front seat in the crematorium? Not because I really want to get buried or fried or anything like that. I've got a simple outlook on that one. They've already screwed up multiple times on pronouncing me dead once they ship me to the morgue. So my idea is simple. I don't care what you do with the body afterwards. Before you tag it, decapitate it. Just make it count. But when we take a look at the medical society, you're told as you get older, your eyesight's going to fail, all your autonomic systems are going to go out the window, memory's going to go, have a happy older life. I don't know about you guys, but I think I missed the boat on a lot of those teachings because I weigh less than I did 30 years ago. I've got more energy than I did 30 years ago, and I'm healthier than I was 30 years ago. So apparently this idea as you get older does not always mean you're going to get worse. Okay. Now, as I mentioned right at the beginning, the educational system, when you look at an elementary and your younger years, instead of going, here, you won first, you're gold. Oh, nice. Joe's just popped in. He goes, as of today, I have 25 pages out of 90 completed in my dream journal number 3. Excellent there, Joe. The thing is, you'll be able to use that to look back afterwards and really get an idea of what you were actually seeing. What you were dreaming about, what you were thinking about. Now, when we look at medical, okay, so we've already looked at, I was looking at the education. So we've got religion here. We've got the politics. Now, where it comes to the education, when I was going to school, okay, and literally we're talking 50 years ago, only one person ever got across the finish line first. Only one ever did. Okay, like we've got here in the chat room, and yes, I took this one off Dave Scott, absolutely. But we got one person that'll come in with the gold, one with the silver, one with the bronze. Okay, and then we throw in the honorable mention. Renee, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So this idea that the new school teachings what have is, hey, you showed up. You showed up. Everybody gets a ribbon. Nobody gets gold, silver, or bronze because that's going to make somebody feel worse. Well, if you're feeling worse because you didn't get gold, maybe you'll figure out how to push a little harder. And even if you push your hardest, maybe you're not going to make gold. Always, always, always do the best you can. Do the best you can with what you've got. Okay. Rachel, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I like the way Joe Stewart put it. I'm not perfect, but I am doing my best. And that's all you ever aim at. Compete with yourself. Okay. That's the way to get ahead in this world. Now that's your educational system going sideways because they don't teach you. It used to be teach life skills. So parents that didn't actually have the proper skills for whatever reason, there was a backup system to make and to help these kids become productive. Unfortunately, and I swear I swear a lot, but it was my generation that really dropped the ball, and they just compounded because kids in my school, when I was going to school, we still had truant officers, which meant if you skipped out, there were literal officers that went around the community, found the kids that were skipping, and brought them back to the school. And the reason for that was to educate them. Well, in today's world, let's face it, most of the time, in my opinion, they're not being taught much anyway. It can be verified with some of the people I've seen graduating that literally cannot make change. Okay. Now, this is a massive failing. But that's where the education went sideways. Now, where it comes to medical, okay, and again, they've got the right idea. The system is there. But here's the kicker. You're constantly being told you don't have to work anymore. You don't have to exercise. You don't even have to eat right. Just take this pill and you'll drop pounds off your weight in weeks, not in months. Now, I dropped 60 pounds by doing that weird thing. I cut back on what I was eating and increased the amount I was doing. You've got the same option, by the way. This is why I tell you, when I say this is what I'm doing, I don't mean this is what I think you should do. I mean, this is what I am doing, and it's working for me. Now, I had one gym teacher when I was in high school. Okay, when he said, we're going to go for a 2-mile run. Okay, he was the only teacher in my entire schooling that actually went out and ran with us. The only glitch was he'd run backwards in front of us and encourage us to keep up with him. And when he went to do 50 push-ups with us, he'd do 50 on each arm. The man was brilliant as a gym teacher goes. And, it's that rule of thumb, if you will, that has brought me to the idea that, look, if I'm going to tell you, here's a way to change your life, you bet your bottom dollar I'm working on doing the same thing with the same tools. Okay. Unfortunately, I know a lot more tools than what I have. But you get to figure out how that fits. So, understanding these systems are in place properly. Okay, the banking system is set up properly. But what they're doing, what the people in control positions are doing, is where the travesty comes in. Okay, now, again, if you've got a topic, if you've got a subject that you would like more elaboration on, absolutely ask. Because the reality is, we're looking at the positive and living positively in a negatively saturated world. And we're covering that for the whole next week. I haven't laid up next week yet. Next 5 days, as in, we're on Tuesday, or on, what are we? We're on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But we're going to be looking at different aspects of it. If you have a question, even if it is not in the same field, bring it to my attention. Get it into the chat room. Okay. Drop me a note on Facebook. Drop me a note in the comments below. Okay. Drop me a note on Twitter. All of these things work, including LinkedIn. I will be going after a Telegram account sooner or later. But for the moment, let's take a look at the fact that every one of you is a politician, a teacher, you are first responders. Every one of you is a medic. Okay. Every single one of you is a spiritual guide. The question is, are you teaching the people that look to you about how to be positive, or are you looking at them and teaching them how to be manipulative, how to be greedy, how to be depressed? Okay, now I can lay out all of those. I'm not good at the greedy thing, by the way. Depressed, I got that down to a fine art. So when we look at that, okay, when we look at the essence of it, you have a choice. You can absolutely turn on the news. If you want to get depressed about the way the world's behaving, turn on any news channel. Turn on any news supplier. Okay, any news stream that talks about how everybody's miserable. Okay, I will tell you, the most miserable thing that it was miserable in a way. Years and years ago, I worked for Dairy Queen. Okay, well, the boss came out, and the boss from one of the other Dairy Queens came over. All the ice cream cakes were made at the one store, and then the other guys came out and picked them up. Well, this one day, our boss went and picked up a load of ice cream, brought it back to the business, back to the building, being at the beginning of the day. But he got sidetracked, and we hit over 40 degrees with all of his ice cream cakes in the trunk. Now, guess what? He did not turn around and blame the government for the weather. He didn't blame the weather report and the weatherman for not telling him that it was going to be hot. We were in the middle of August. He figured out in the middle of August, it's going to be hot. So he just looked at it and went, well, that was extremely disappointing. And he didn't sue anybody. He just went and had his car cleaned. Because let's face it, nobody wants melted ice cream in their car, in the carpeting, okay, in the middle of the summer. Now, yes, I live up in Canada, the Great White North. We break 100 degrees regularly. Okay. Now, we call it 40. Okay. But we break the 100 degrees regularly. Now, with that in mind, when you start looking at the way the government is run, governments make rules. It would be nice if they actually followed them. But, what the heck? We'll take part of it anyway. You do the same thing. And this is why I said, you're a politician as well. But we have to look at it and go, are we going to focus on what's going wrong? What is the government doing wrong? Are we going to sit there and complain about it? Yeah, Elaine goes, I've been much happier since I dropped both news and Facebook. I haven't dropped Facebook, but I haven't watched the news in like 15 years. But, you've got a choice. You can wait for the government or for the news people to tell you it's going to be a good day. Or you can go, I got weather. It's a good day. That's how I look at it. I wake up in the morning, I'm going, I got weather, I'm happy. That's the first thing to start with. You make the decision. You can focus on the negative things, or you can focus on the positive ones. But let me ask you, which one makes you feel better? Focusing on the negative or focusing on the positive? Yeah. LA goes, I had a lot of negativity there and I just wasn't up for it. I got hit again on Facebook with one of these things going, I hit the thing to look at this article and it's like, don't shut off your computer. You've been attacked by a virus. Don't shut off the computer. Well, I give credit where credit's due. I didn't know what to do the first time. So I phoned up Storm. And I says, okay, what's going on? And he goes, crash the computer. You have been hit by a virus and by a virus type setup, by an identity theft attempt. Okay. And he says, but here's the way it works. You don't hang up you don't shut the computer off, you phone them. They're going to ask you to give you access to the computer. Okay. And as soon as you do that, then they've got your identity. So they're not lying to you. Okay. Your site, why now? This is not applied to every one of them. Okay. But I strongly recommend find yourself a virus scanner, an antivirus company that you trust, and check with them regularly of your own accord. Yeah, Rachel goes, I'm positive when having miserable moments because there's another awareness to be learned. You know, I agree with you there, Rachel. I'm just tired with so many of the bad ones being learned. You know, mind you, I know this world is going down a very sour road. So here's the thing. When I got that alarm today, I didn't think to phone Storm. I literally remembered what Storm told me, and I hard crashed the computer. You know, so that being said, what I don't understand entirely, well, no, I actually understand it quite well. The fact of the matter is, people are so saturated with negativity. You know, there are so many things. Oh, you can make $27,000 a month for doing absolutely jack. Yeah, except you're giving up your own motivation. You're giving up your own ability to function. Valerie, how are you doing? Glad you could join us. Yes, scammers are getting very good at looking authentic. Fortunately, I know, this sounds really bad. Okay, I do my best to be positive. So I'm absolutely positive. I trust very few people. That said, when I tell you Stormy is Storm in LA are two people you absolutely can rely on. If they give you their word they're going to do something, you can bet your bottom dollar. One way or another, they'll figure out how to do it. Okay. I will tell you, I've never been known to lie to somebody to make them feel better, except in one case. Okay. In one case, I had a client call me up. Well, he sat down at my table and he goes, look, I don't want to know the future. I don't want to know the past. I already know the past. He says, I simply want to feel better. I don't care if you lie to me to make me feel better. Right. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Nathan goes, I'm out and about tonight. Just remember, granted, driving on the sidewalk, you won't run into as many vehicles, but there are other hiccups. So make certain that you pay more attention where you're driving than what you do to what you're dealing with on the radio. Now, the reality of it is, I look at it going, I watch everything with a handful, if not a box full of salt. Okay. Because when I look at the way politics work, we got to take a look at laws. Now, as I told you, okay, where it comes to following the law, you must follow the laws of the land in which you are. Karmic law number 2, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. In other words, if you make rules in your house, I'll bet dollars to donuts that you would like people to follow them. That you would like people to follow those rules. Okay. If you desire people to follow your rules, does it not make sense that you follow theirs? Okay. Now, what we've got here is a political system, and I strongly encourage you to find, when you start looking at, because there are presidential and prime minister elections coming up. Oh, okay. I saw it came in, Nathan. Have I actually had a chance to look at it? Well, technically I had the chance. I will be looking at it tonight to make certain I can give you some input on it tomorrow. And hopefully I don't drop dead before that. The reality of it is, when we take a look at the way your world is going, you've got a choice. You can either focus on the things that are going bad, or you can focus on the things that are going well. Now, to that end, let me get this out of the way. Oh, that's what I was working on right there. This list method still works like an absolute charm. And I am doing that right now. Where is it? There we are. I've only got 4 things left on my screen on my list now. And the reality of it is this. The list method works. Uh-oh. I think I missed something there. I'm guessing LA that comment is meant for Nathan. But when we take a look at the political side of things, the system is set up properly. But again, I only follow 3 laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, you follow those 3 laws, and those are universal. Even when I had my last conversation with who you would call God, even then, when I took a look at that, when I talked to him, even he said he's got to follow those laws too. Okay, and I use the term he because I don't feel like going he, she, it, that, whatever. I'm lazy. That simple. Okay, but you follow those 3 laws and you will find things work out very nicely. Now, I do have a challenge for you. Take a look at your belief structure, whether it's religious, spiritual, practical, don't care. Maybe it's your own belief structure that you think you came up with. Okay, find any law that you follow, okay, or any guideline that you follow, compare it to those 3 laws, and find me one that doesn't fit. I am seriously looking for the one that doesn't fit. Okay, because thus far, by going through Christianity, Judaism, the Muslim faith, the Sikh faith, and I don't know what all the different ones are called. With many of the pagan religions, I have yet to find one law, one guideline, even when you look at the teachings of Buddha. Not one is outside those 3. And like I said, I'm lazy. So I only look at the 3 laws and wrap it up that way. That'd be first and foremost. Now, let's take a look at the religious side. Okay. Now, here's where we go really sideways. No, back up. On the political side, the laws that are being made do not seem to apply to everybody equally. And that's got to be corrected. Okay. Because if you've got laws that are not applicable to everybody, your society is going to fracture. Okay. And this is why we've got the web and the dark web, or we've got the honest side of people and we've got the criminal side. It's because the laws don't apply to everybody equally. Okay, now, yes, as you move up in ranking, as you move up in position in society, absolutely there are other things that should be gifted. However, does it make sense to you to actually have the poor people, and this goes to those of you that have a lot of money, does it make practical sense? Not, is it good for you? Clearly, if you don't have to pay taxes, it's good for you on the surface. But does it make sense that the people with more money should pay less tax than what the people that don't have the money in the first place? Because understand something. The people that have more money that are paying less tax, the tax that the poor people are paying, some of it is being fed back to try and keep these people alive. Okay, the wealthy have this brilliant idea. I want all the trimmings, I want all the trappings, all the trimmings. I want good food. I want to be able to go out for dinner and have good food. And yet, people insist on paying hospitality people less than enough to survive on. And then you have labor shortage because the wealthy seem to think, and I don't blame them, this is what's been taught. Okay, and this is where we've got to turn the education around. Okay, people seem to think, I've got money I don't have to pay because I'm special. That doesn't add up for me. Enough about that side of it. Now let's go to the spiritual side. And like I said, we're just laying down the groundwork here. If you've got a question on it or if you've got a comment, absolutely put it in the chat room. Absolutely drop me a note. Let me know and we'll see what we can do about covering it. Okay. On the spiritual side, this means mainstream religions. Okay. Your secondary religions or the shall we say lesser known ones, or the made up religions, as in I believe I'm God and I can do anything I want because I'm God, so that's okay. I've met people like that. Okay. And I look at them and going, okay, well, I'll treat you the same way I treated God. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I respect the man for what he did. And rest assured, I use the term man really, really loosely. When you start looking at your spiritual teachings, most of the religions I know of teach be nice to each other. Okay, they teach God loves everybody. It doesn't say God only loves you if you're one color. Matter of fact, it says quite the opposite. Okay, it literally tells you most of the religions out there will teach you the same thing. Be nice to each other. Work with each other. Take care of each other. And yet, so many of the mainstream religions, some of the churches, the individual pastor may well open the door and do the things right. But your mainstream, the majority, lock the doors up and go, no, you don't believe exactly what we believe. You're not allowed in here. As a matter of fact, I found out about one just recently that was brilliant. You're not even allowed in our church to find out what we are talking about until you become a member. In other words, we're going to push blind faith to a whole new level. Now, if you are going to a church, a temple, a coven, I don't care if you're meeting by a campfire and talking to people in your own circle. If you're dealing with people where the purported leader is telling you, be prejudiced, be cruel, be greedy, okay, you might want to seriously consider finding a different person to follow. Now, I did seriously, I was told decades back, you really want to make an impact on the world, start a church. Well, the mainstream religions have locked that down. I looked into it. They've locked it down fine, just perfectly. If I want to teach Christianity their way, I can get a church open. If I desire to just suggest to people, be nice. Okay, well, a church, a temple, a coven is not a building. So what we're doing here is literally people coming in here, and we've seen this happen. You guys have been phenomenal at it, by the way. This literally falls under the category of we are family. Okay, no, I'm not going to sing that. That's just not going to work well. But I will tell you, if we continue down the path we've been on, okay, following the people that are telling you, you must segregate these people. They're not the same color as you. They don't crawl into bed with the same people. They're not welcome. Treat them like that. I literally heard a pastor one day stood up at the front of his church and he literally told people, he goes, people that do not believe in only one God are subhuman and should be treated as such. Now, bear in mind, this was a pastor that was purporting was purporting to be Christian and to follow God's teachings. Now, I don't recall God ever saying, he didn't ever say, love your neighbor as yourself. He didn't say, unless he doesn't believe in the same thing you do, unless he doesn't do exactly what you tell him. Bear in mind, you were all given free will and freedom of choice. What you weren't given is freedom from consequence. So, my father, he used to teach Sunday school, and he did insist that everybody should learn and should actually read the Bible cover to cover themselves. I'm working on it. I mean, granted, I'm 61. I probably should have done it earlier. But it is amazing how far off the beaten track people got. Okay, right now, with the way the spirituality is going, okay, now I can quote things out of the internet, but suffice it to say, no religion is fully unified. And the ones that claim to be more unified than the rest are a complete scramble job if you start looking at it. But take this one to heart, or do your best to. Now, whether you do or not, that's up to you. Everybody you meet, treat them the way you desire to be treated. Not all of them are in a good mood. Not all of them are doing things by the book. Or at least not by the book you're doing them by. Okay, but where it comes to spirituality, understand, take all civilization out of it. Take all the bodies out of the equation. The life force that runs your body. You're all part of literally the same source. Okay, now I do not expect you to believe that wholeheartedly. Okay, do your own research. I've done mine. Okay, I've had the conversations and what have you. And here's the neat little kicker. Okay, a lot of what I'm talking about is literally contained within these novels. Okay, Birth of the Wolf Pack and The End of an Epic. Okay, there's 10 more coming out. Still working on them. That'll be an ongoing process. I was hoping it was going to happen quicker. But I will tell you this. I phoned up an advertising company. That's what I mean by being true to yourself. I've worked with them for a number of years. Dumber than a bag of hammers, I'm sure I am. Okay, because I phoned them. They phoned me. They were looking for the payment. And I went over it with them. I said, okay, we're canceling it right now. Okay, I'm not interested in discussing it. I've been working with you for years. I've spent thousands of dollars. I haven't even had one inquiry. Never mind one sale. Okay, now Storm goes and helps me set up to buy me a coffee in here. Within a week, I already had the first sale. Okay, I already had one of my books sold. Now, the fact is, I used to have Yellow Pages. I'm pulling it. I will be pulling 411, and I will be pulling the people handling my website right now. Okay, they will be pulled. I'm done. Okay, but this is because I found out one little detail. Thousands of dollars to so-called professionals. Okay, and not one bite. Not one. Okay, I turn it over to Storm. Storm goes, let's see what we can do. Puts it in place. Bang, it's moved. Okay, now I'm still not making a living at it. Okay, but at least it's moving. Now here's the other kicker to it. When we look at religion, believe what you will. You can believe in the almighty dollar. But ask yourself this. Why is the effort of a person living in the States worth more than the effort? Me, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. Why is that worth more than the effort of an individual with the same qualifications we're living in Canada or anywhere else in the world? Okay, what we have to realize is money is another barter system. Now, some people have taken money to the point of literally worshiping it. I've got to have more money to be happy. I'm telling you, that doesn't work. Okay, I made the mistakes. This is why I'm telling you not to do it. Now, of course, some of you will go, well, I'm not you. You can't know that'll happen to me. True, but I play the odds. Okay, and thus far, everybody I know of that's done the same thing I've done has ended up in a financial bucket. Your call whether you go down that road. I'm not sure, but for me, I gave up on the idea of repeating that one. So I'm no longer doing that. But whatever you worship, the one, whoever you put your faith in, I will tell you this. Pray to who you choose, talk to who you choose, believe in who you choose. You desire your life to change. You're going to get off your tail feathers and you're going to do something about it. Okay? If you don't know where to begin, or if you're just racking your brain, you go, this is such a big task. How do I deal with it? Absolutely. I am starting to set up to do regular postings so that those little tools will be handled. Of course, you can contact me directly. I charge a staggering $20 Canadian for 15 minutes on the phone. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now understand something. I've been doing professional consultations I started at 23, so for 38 years. Okay. I've been doing professional consultations as in generating a small income by doing so. Okay, now I have been paid as much as $2,600 an hour. Okay, I only charge $80 an hour, but I've got 38 years under my belt. Yep. Okay, and for those of you that have this brilliant idea, if it's a natural gift, it's wrong to charge for it. Ask yourself this. Okay, if we do not charge for it, as long as we're being honest, okay, if we do not charge for it, how do we keep a roof over our head? Okay, that's something you got to realize. Everybody has a gift at something. Now, my free information, the free time that I put in is here. I don't play a plug nickel. I don't get paid a plug nickel for this. Okay. The Storm in LA, I honestly don't pay them. Okay. This is done voluntarily. Now, you can decide whether or not that's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's for you. For me, it really boils down to this. I have to look at making a living. So I'm already on disability, and rest assured that's not enough to live on. Philip, the answer to your question is yes. I absolutely have. Okay, and before you ask that, no, I'm not going to tell you who. I have dealt directly with politicians on things that they were looking and putting in their campaign. Okay, absolutely I have. Both domestic and foreign. See, politicians are people. Okay, they have belief structures. And you got to realize they're also following. Well, I'm not sure what the 1993 is. Chad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. See, and I don't know about 1993 here, but I will tell you, I started doing professional consultations, as in generating an income, in 1986. Okay, that's where that comes in. Now, the neat little part about all this is when we look at the spiritual side, you start worshiping money. Okay, many of you already do. oh, you got to have the newest thing, the newest toy. It's, frankly, there was no saying back in the 70s. Okay. Same garbage, brand new, colorful box. Okay. The same applies today. Difference. Back in the 70s, when they put a TV together, if you stumbled and ran into and fell on the TV, on the screen of the TV, odds are you were getting a concussion. Okay. If you didn't get a concussion, managed to put your head through it, you split your head wide open. Today's TV, you hiccup going by them and they die. Okay. It's just that simple. Yeah, no, in all fairness, I actually started in 1973. The first time I did a consult was for a kid. I was 10 years old. Okay. And I've only lied to somebody once to make them feel better. Joe goes, me and my parents are still looking for a new riding lawnmower. But in the meantime, I'm still mowing the same section of the lawn. Push weed whacker, plenty of water, plenty of breaks. No doubt. Oh, did I miss something? I'm just looking here. Because Philip, nope. Simon, here we are. I did not see, did I miss Simon coming through the door here? I'm not going to go try and find it. If I did, Simon, welcome aboard. Like I said, I don't spot everything by any stretch. When you look at the spiritual side of things, understand spiritualism boils down to this by any title. It's an opportunity to get together with like-minded people and work to make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, before anybody jumps on you, I put my hands together like that. Okay. No, I'm not praying you'll listen. Quite frankly, I'm just wondering why people don't hang up on me. But, no, the point being, I've either got my hands here, down here, and that looks really dorky, or I stand at ease with my hands behind my back. So, I've got to put them someplace. And you'll notice my forearm moves a lot, so the hands kind of have to go with them. What do I got here? Now, the lie itself, Philip. That was literally the guy sat down in front of me at the table. He said, look, I don't need to know about the future. I've got to live in the present. I already know about my past. I simply want you to help me feel better. I don't care if you lie to me to make me feel better. If you've got to lie to me to make me feel better, be my guest. So I said about, and he paid the normal price. At the time, I was charging $120 an hour. And he paid $120, and I lied through the teeth. Right. And when I sat there and I told him, right, because we were recording, I said, just to be clear, and I called him by his name, not by some other name. I said, to be clear, what I'm about to tell you is a complete fabrication. Absolutely complete. Then I spent the next half an hour laying out a fantastic scenario for him. He was the star. He was the star of the whole thing, where he was accomplishing great things. It was a bald-faced lie. But let's face it, I happen to be a storyteller. Okay, I don't sing, so just get over that idea. But I like to think of all storytellers as modern-day bards. So I simply painted him a picture that put a smile on his face. He essentially bounced out of the room, happy to not get out. But on the whole, I refuse to lie to people to make them feel better. What do we got here? Well, yeah, Chad, and you'd be amazed how many people that applies. And Chad goes, Keith makes everyone happy. Some by showing up, some by leaving. And, in all fairness, I found it the other day. Somebody was talking, I looked at him, I made a comment, I said, don't worry about it, I'm leaving. I said, but the reality of it is, the way you're treating people just isn't functional. Well, it is, but there's a diss in front of it. Now, Storm has that in here. I still maintain that getting involved in politics changes the essence of an individual. After all, poly, Greek for many, and ticks are blood-sucking creatures. Many blood-sucking creatures. Absolutely. Now, I will tell you, there are exceptions. I got into politics. I spent 4 years on the local parks. Ah, there we go. Thanks for that, Chad. I appreciate that. You know, I spent 4 years working for a local park society. And I tell you, half of the people in there were absolutely self-centered, totally corrupt, and working for their own benefit to the point that they destroyed the park. As in, the park was donated under the premise that it could never be sold to the government. These guys orchestrated selling it to the government. You know, thanks so much for clarifying that there, Chad. You know, as far as Simon equals dog face. Don't take this. You know, don't take this the wrong way. But the odds are, Simon, while you're in the chat room, the odds are I'll refer to you as dog face. This applies to everybody. Okay. I don't remember names that well anyway. Philip, I actually the politician in question, I actually worked with on and off for 2 terms. Okay. I never joined his party. I never got into mainstream politics. Couldn't be bothered. As I tell people, I don't lie well enough. Yeah. Joe goes, I look on the bright side regarding his lawn. He goes, but when the lawn gets tall and thick, it's a new place for me to go in peace, since I'm an empath. Absolutely. Chad, no doubt. Chad goes, dog face equals Simon is not a math equation. Now, here's the thing. When we look at spirituality, ask yourself, whatever God you believe in, whatever spiritual source you believe in, does that spiritual source, does it push the idea of disrespect everybody else that doesn't believe exactly what you believe, bully people into siding with you and following your belief structure, berate people if they're not treating you with absolute respect, in spite of the fact that you're not treating them with respect? Have a good one there, Chad. Thanks so much for dropping in. You know, if the spiritual guide you are talking and that you are following tells you belittle everybody around you, he, she, it is not much of a spiritual guide. Okay. Now I will tell you, I've got a very short vocal temper. Okay. A very volatile one if I get pushed too hard. And the reality is, I'm not proud of it by any means. It's a statement of fact. Okay. But if your spiritual guide, your spiritual icon is teaching you to belittle people, it may not be the best choice. Absolutely. We are looking at building this stream up to a phenomenal size. I can't give you a number. I can tell you there are billions of people out there listening to geniuses go, you're all going to die. You're going to suffer great incompatibilities, great food shortages, oil shortages, gravity shortages, because we've got an IQ that rivals the bottom of a boat. Okay, yeah, I'm not impressed with people that come up with absolutely no background, but what the heck? Now, that's the first thing. You know, again, all I'm doing today really is pointing out what we're working with. Tomorrow, we're going to turn it all around, and hopefully we'll get to turn some of it around. I'm doing my best not to leave it a complete bleak show here. Now, when we take a look at the education side of things, again, the system is built properly. Get people that have an idea, that have an idea on how to teach, get them into a teaching position, because not every parent knows how to teach things they don't know. Like, if my kids were to desire to work on a car, I am the last person they should be talking to. Okay, Lily Pond, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Here's the thing. I'm extremely mechanically inclined. And what that translates into is I'm not going back to school to get an education on how to repair a car. I'm not going to do it. Okay. So when I say I'm mechanically inclined, every time I'm inclined, I go and see a mechanic. But there are phenomenal people out there that know how to teach. So you don't know how to do something, absolutely talk to somebody who has done it successfully before. And if you have to pay for it, not a problem. Natural gifts, much as be great if they can be given away for free. They don't. Okay. We have a world where it's easier to move a $10 bill than it is a cow. Okay. Just my personal opinion on the matter. So, when we look at the education, every one of you is a teacher. Are you teaching your kids or your charges or the people that are looking up to you? Are you teaching them? And literally, are you doing this by example? Not just, you should do what I say, not what, do what I say, not what I do. This doesn't work. Most people won't pay attention to what you're saying, but they will certainly jump on the bandwagon on what you're doing. Okay. Take care of the dog face. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us. The neat thing about it is, as educators, you've got the opportunity to guide people into a better world or into a more limited, more self-destructive world. Your call. Okay. But let me ask you, if everybody's guided into a self-destructive mindset, into a world of self-limitation, is this now not going to create a problem when it comes to crime levels climbing? And if you think it's not going to take a problem, I'll encourage you to look out your front door and see what's going on. Hopefully you're in a neighborhood that doesn't have, a whole pile of crime in it. Okay. Hopefully that's not the type of world you live in. One of the nice things about what's going on, okay, is we've got a world that there is a staggering amount of possibilities where it comes to education. And this is why I say the tools I offer are the same ones I personally use. Okay, this is why and I'm not going to dig them out, the 2 suits that I have are going to go the way of the dodo bird. I'll be talking to my 2 boys, give them first dibs. If they don't want them, I'll talk to my other brothers, because they are things my father had, right? If they don't want them, they're going. I've now tried them, and I'm not interested in trying to, have my arm shorten itself. Like, I would literally, the sleeves on this thing only came down to there. I mean, how many times when you're looking at education, how many parents do you remember sitting there going, children should be seen and not heard? To me, it was a weird setup. In our house, my parents had a very simple rule. Everybody gets to talk, but how about if we do it one at a time? Okay. If kids and adults, for that matter, do not have the right to ask questions, how are they possibly going to evolve? Okay. How are they possibly going to become functional members of society? This is the thing we have to look at. And if you're going to insist on people not asking questions, picture, if you will, and I keep telling you guys, if you have a question, absolutely ask. Okay, and I will do my best to answer. But here's the thing. Okay. I came to the conclusion of this whole stream because I'm not getting a whole lot of questions. So either I'm answering things that people require and they don't have to ask questions, or I'm not interesting and people are just keeping quiet. I vote for the latter. But well, I could, but there's two major problems with that. Phil's just suggesting I tailor the suit. I would have to literally add 8 inches to the arm. We're not talking about letting it out. We're talking about adding to it. And then he goes, I was not allowed to talk at the table or much of anywhere else. Consequence was I didn't talk to either parent for 2 years. Yeah, I can relate to that all too well. Although in my case, it was my self-esteem, not their doing, my own. But now what I'm looking at here, people talk about the cross chatter. I've seen people refer to cross chatter in a chat room. Philip, that is one my father used to have. The start of it is. Here, we'll do it this way. This is why I like the thing. That's hand-woven leather, by the way. But the pendant is an eagle. Okay. The center, the inside of the wings is copper. The ring around the wings is gold. And I think the pendant itself is pewter. But then I've got that ring there. This is the one. Well, so I get my hand turned around. This ring is the one I got. That's malachite and sterling silver. That came from my older brother's estate. And this one is the ring. This is the one ring that ruled them all, complete with the insignia that my other half gave me. So they all sit here. I don't have to undo it. Okay. And I can get it back on my head. Just what I require. So now I can wear my rings again. Because, it's neat. When I was 60 pounds heavier, that ring, the ring for my brother, actually fit. Now it doesn't. Now it falls off. But as educators, we have an obligation, in my eyes. Okay. And that is to make certain that the information that we've got as adults, that experience can be passed on so other people don't go through the same garbage. Now, this is why these books are being written. Okay. These are literally the same tools I personally use. Okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you, I've got all these answers. If you want the information, buy the book. No, I'll tell you right off the bat. This one, the backbone of it, this is believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Okay. Each one of these particular books is a staggering $20 Canadian in your hand, anywhere in Canada or the continental US. Now, the neat part about it is I'll tell you that this, gotta stand up because I can't quite reach. This neat little setup here, the list method, works like an absolute charm. Okay, you write down, you break things down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks, and you can get them done. Okay. That way you actually get to look at the way your world is going. Okay. Joseph, how are we? Well, you are right, Joseph. Purity can be toxic. Neat part about it is I don't eat it. Anything on the world, just about anything in the world, can be toxic. Okay. But, on the plus side, I'm one of these people that looks at pewter and goes, yep, could be toxic, might kill me. The reality is, it looks nice as well. Well, that's a bit of a complication. Okay. I can tell you this because I was told I could. And like I told people a while back, I'm not saying anything until I've got go ahead. Now, I will tell you the young lass, and there is a word that came out that just came out recently. Okay, and the word is préancé, meaning that and look it up. Don't take my word for it. This is something we stumbled across. A préancé is somebody where you've agreed you're looking at marriage. Okay, and you've talked about marriage, you've made plans about it. Just the question has not been popped. Okay, but her first name is Kira. Okay, and we've already geared it up. I'm going down to see her in August. Then we're bringing her across the border in December. Okay, and it is progressing nicely. Now, whether she's Elven or not, that depends on who you talk to. Where are we here? Where are we? LA's going, don't clean your pendant with anything other than a dry chamois. If you do, the malachite will disintegrate. Okay, well, that works out well because I haven't been. Philip, yes. Very much like a betrothed. Okay, but it wasn't set up by anybody at all. It was set up between the two of us. Okay, it was just simply really solidified when I got to Reno. I still haven't asked the question. Told her flat out I won't ask her until she gets across the border. And not on the first day. But, you got to understand, we've been seeing each other for a while. Okay, we just haven't done a whole lot of telling people about it. That's all. The important thing from my end is this. Whatever you're teaching people, like I hold the same value with my own kids when they find somebody. I don't bother giving them a bad time. I don't bother asking for information. Oh, did you do this? Did you do that? No. If they've got a question, they'll come to me. Nice thing about having an open line of communication with your kids or with your charges or with coworkers, whatever it is. Okay. Education boils down to, yes, pass the information on, but you've got to be willing to learn from them as well. Okay, that's just the reality behind it. So when we take a look at that, you got to realize that it is up to you to get off your tail feathers and figure out how to make things work a little better. Usually that means talk to somebody that's done it successfully. Now, I will tell you wholeheartedly, I've talked to people, I've gone to the advertising agents, I've gone to the professional marketers. Not a one of them has ever generated even an interest in my stuff, except for getting a whole pile of people saying, hey, give me more money, pay more money, and we can make your website more visible. Okay. I turn to Storm. Storm sits down, goes, clickety bang, there you go, now you're up and running. Within a week, I've got a little bit of an income. The idea is to generate enough of an income that I don't have to worry anymore. Okay, Lord knows I've got enough topics to write about. But it boils down to this. Absolutely imperative that when you're looking at doing something, you're the one that's going to have to get off your tail feathers. We are taught, sit on your backside, take a pill, lose weight, do no exercise, you'll be in better shape. I'm looking at this going, doesn't work for me. I tried the medication. And this is why I say, for me, I tried the medication they recommended. That was a cute thought. 3 days into taking it, I had a heart attack. Now, I will tell you this, if you die, you'll lose weight. I'm not thinking that's a good option. This is just one of those things we got to look at. Or it might be wise anyway. Now, with that in mind, okay, now we've gone through politics, we've gone through religion, we've gone through the education. We're going to look at medical, but I will tell you, well, Yeah, dog face. Much as that's a cute thought, and you're right. Little puppies are definitely a handful. Little cats, whatever. The house that I'm in, the apartment I live in, we're not allowed to have even a goldfish. Although I will tell you, goldfish won't run around the room much. You know, but I absolutely agree with you. Little pets, like when I was still living with my wife, we're divorced 15 years now, but we still get along. When I was living with her, at our worst or at our best, we had 3 dogs, 5 cats, and 2 rats, all of which were rescues. Okay. So, absolutely, and I get along better with animals than I do with people most of the time. At least when a dog barks at you, he's usually trying to say something intelligent. I find so many people that bark at me, I'm looking at them going, did you even think before you uttered that? Most of them don't. Okay. But where it comes to when you get and start looking at these people that are coming out of the woodworks from a spiritual standpoint going, oh, I have returned again to guide you. Come out to my compound in the middle of, backwoods nowhere. I've got fences and armed guards around to protect you so I can guide you back to the light. Now, I'm sitting there going, why would I go out into the middle of the bush, into the middle of a desert, to hide behind a fenced yard with people hanging on to guns to teach me about peace? War has never brought peace. Okay. Gunfire has never brought peace. It's brought quiet, but it doesn't bring peace. Okay. And if whoever you're following in the way of a spiritual guide is telling you money is evil, it's the root of all evil, give me all your money, you might want to listen to that. Okay, now I will tell you wholeheartedly, you want to give me money for free? I got no problem with it. But I'll tell you, money is not the root of all evil. Fear is the root of evil. Okay, fear, greed is a real solid compatriot, but it's a fear of lack that you're being taught daily. Okay, in virtually every waking moment, that you're going to lose everything. You're going to be punished because you didn't do exactly what the guy that gave you free will and told you you've got freedom to do what you will. You don't do exactly what he says, you're going to hell. I'm telling you, the hot tubs in hell are a little warm for my liking, but the deep muscle massages are literally to die for. The thing you have to realize is whatever energy you're putting out, this is what you're drawing back. Now, when it comes to medical, okay, they tell you as you get older, your eyesight's going to fail. You're going to end up with arthritis, dementia, all these mental disabilities. And of course, now the new batch. Oh, it's not about what you eat. It's not about how much activity. It's about this one pill. Take this pill and you won't suffer from dementia. Good thought. Use your brain, it'll actually help. The other thing that's also been proven is if you're having trouble with your memory, I kid you not, learn a new language. Okay. Now, I speak many fluently. I speak English poorly, Mumbleese. I used to speak slurries, but I'm not really good at that anymore. Stumbleese or stutteries are various names for the same word, for the same language. Okay. I'm very good at them. So learn a language. I would suggest, depending on where you live, okay, English is the world business language from what I gather. But if you're living in the southern states, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, those of you from down there, learning Spanish might be an idea for day-to-day interaction in many communities. If you happen to live in England or in Scotland, learn the local languages. If you're going to travel, learn the local languages, at least a little bit of them. Now, I'm going to be traveling. Okay, my other half and I are going to be traveling over the next few years. But Primarily, we're likely to stick to English-speaking areas. I have enough trouble with getting lost. Actually, I got no problem getting lost. But, oh, nice, Philip. Excellent. I'm not sure where it's going to be useful, but any language at all, absolutely learn it. Okay, when it comes to medical, understand something. There's an old saying that goes, everything in moderation. Okay, that means everything. Now, don't get carried away with it. Some of you have this brilliant idea. If it's natural, it's good for you. No, arsenic is natural. I wouldn't call it good for you. Salt water, as in seawater, is natural. Do not drink it. Okay. And these geniuses that come in, I don't have a problem with geniuses that come up with bizarre ideas. Hey, let's try swallowing poison because that's brilliant. Show you're a man. Drink poison. No, show you're a man. Watch the other guy and just ask him, are you just a complete idiot or are there parts missing? Okay, when we look at medical, modern medicine has already proven that every cell in the human body is replaced every 7 years. Yeah, Joseph goes, Ellie Moon goes, alligators are natural, leave them alone. Joseph goes, rattlesnakes. Neat thing about Kelowna, useless trivia for you. We've got rattlesnakes and sagebrush inside city limits. Not to mention black widows and brown recluse spiders. But I tell you, Australia has way bigger spiders than we've got. Oh, there we go. Philip goes, it's useful in rabbit holes from ancient Rome and the ancient Greek world. Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic, Philip. And like I said, find a language that catches your attention. Okay. Oh, I forgot one. I speak gibberish. You know, the nice part about it, when we look at the medical society, remember, if you eat stuff that is healthy, okay, and just because it's natural does not make it edible. Okay. I mean, hemlock leaves are natural and highly toxic, as are rhubarb leaves, but they make an absolutely killer salad. Yeah, LA goes, English is all the challenge I need. You notice with English, it really does seem to be, we'll make it up as we go along. I before E, except after C, and sometimes K, and once in a while N, and God help you if you come across TH. Okay. It literally, here's a whole pile of rules and none of them apply to make up your own. It's pretty much the way it works. But where it comes to medical, understand, yes, medicine is, in many cases, in my opinion, and for that matter, in many professional opinions, it's overpriced. But you got to remember that little medication, they're not doing anything wrong in my eyes. They go, here's what it's going to do to help you. And here's what it's going to do to kill you. Please buy it and take it. I'm thinking, how about not? But that's for me. Okay. I take a look at it and go, okay, what's the thing that's missing? And how do I get it in a natural source? Okay. Because I will tell you, you eat healthy, you act in a healthy fashion, you will become healthier. Oh, yeah. Joseph goes, basic, C++, Python. My brother used to speak computerese fluently. He gave it up when he died. Language is such an interesting thing. But what you got to remember is you can also learn body language. But here's a newsflash for you guys. Let me ask you this. because I'm betting I'm not going to get a lot of answers. But if you see somebody sitting there and they've got their arms crossed, okay, yeah, side effects include sudden death. Avoid these pills. Many people will tell you if somebody's got their arms crossed, they are, they're not listening. They're closed off. The body is saying, I don't want to hear it. I'm telling you that could be a bigger crock. Some people, they definitely don't want to hear it, but it's got nothing to do with their arms. I look in the mirror and go, well, I got one of two things I can do. I can sit here and keep moving my hands around, which gets tiring after a while. Or I can put my hands here and I can be fully intent on what you're saying, but my hands have to go somewhere because hanging down here just gets to be really painful and uncomfortable. Yeah, Storm's lifting off a whole bunch of others. Most of those, my brother actually spoke. Right. Which, basic Fortran, COBOL, Modula 2, UCSD, Pascal, and APL. See, I had a friend that used to speak all of those. And he'd sit there going beep, 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 beep. Of course, that's Morse. But there are people that speak multiple languages. And sad to say, I know people that speak multiple languages, and none of them do they think for. What comes out of their mouth is still gibberish, in my opinion. Okay, it just comes out many different sounding words. The reality is, from my standpoint, you've got an obligation to yourself and only to yourself to be the best version of you can be, which means when you are either aware of or you or it's drawn to your attention, it's time for you. Oh no, Philip, Linux is another one altogether. Oh, Joseph, pardon my saying so, but unfortunately it hasn't been used in years. That ranks right up there with that other language, common sense. That seems to be one of those dying things. But medical itself, understand if you're on any form of medication under care of any form of medical personnel, keep working with them until do everything else in conjunction with it. Because I'm telling you, they likely have a better idea on what's going on than you do. Okay, my doctor just gave up on me. After diagnosing me dead several times, they finally decided not going to happen, so we're just going to quit. Matter of fact, mine actually retired. But we have a very simple little situation here. Okay, where it comes to the medical profession, read, and I strongly recommend you do this. Whatever medication the doctor is prescribing to you, okay, before you start taking it, take the prescription, but talk to a pharmacist that you know and trust to find out what the side effects are. Sadly, many doctors don't know what the side effects are. Check it yourself. Again, you owe it to yourself to educate yourself on the things you can. The idea of my trying to educate myself on getting a car to work, way too much stress involved. I'll just settle with educate myself to find a mechanic that can do it. But as you can see, this world is a shambles. But you're the one with the ability to start changing it. You're the ones that have that capacity to communicate with each other. And you're the ones that working together can influence the way the spiritual teachers are teaching, the politicians are politicking, and the educators are educating. Yeah. LA goes, it pays to know most doctors only have 6 weeks in pharmacology and another 6 weeks in nutrition. Yeah, here's the other one. Up here, now I don't know what it's like in the States, but in Canada, I was talking to a few people that were going through medical training. They need 7 years of training. That's what you're told. But phrasing it the same way LA did. It pays to know the first 4 years is a bachelor's in anything, meaning they can get a bachelor's in basket weaving for the first 4 years. Then they get 2 years in general sciences, and then they get 1 year in medical specific. Okay, now that's your 7 years. Now they're a licensed doctor. Then they get 4 years internship. It's those 4 years, if they get a decent doctor to start to mirror, okay, then to mentor with, then they learn what they're doing. Yeah, Joseph goes, I try to leave during minor procedures. I don't blame you. See, I don't try to leave, I just don't go in. Mind you, I do my best to avoid going in when I have a heart attack, which I'm thinking may not be a minor procedure, but you get used to it. My boys know the way I stand. So I'm looking at the world now, going, okay. I look at the world and go, okay, it is scrambled, but I'm not waiting around for the politicians to figure out what word they're going to tell us. I'm not waiting for the spiritual guides to finally start teaching you, get along with your neighbor. Okay, you're Jewish. I had a conversation with a Jewish lady, and I kid you not, I'm not going to do it here, but I will absolutely do it for anyone you in person, okay, or in a private conversation. I proved to them beyond a shadow of a doubt, to that person in particular, that Jewish people, and you're going to love me for this one, so hopefully nobody gets around to shoot me for it, but Jewish people celebrate Christmas. Okay, I laid it out for her in purely logical fashion, and at the end of it, she agreed with me. Okay, now the Jewish community will tell you we don't celebrate Christmas, and I'll tell you right now, very wrong. I will explain it to people one-on-one or in a private group. I'm not going to do it on YouTube. Not going to happen. Okay, but where it comes to medical, understand you're taking a pill that may be the size of a horse pill. Okay, but I'm telling you, the reason it's that size is because they throw a whole pile of fillers, not all of them good for you, to bring that little itty bitty bit of chemical to you. Find a natural source for it. Okay, I mean, I was absolutely appalled when the medical profession made it illegal to harvest white willow bark, and yet white willow bark, from my understanding, is the root behind aspirin, and yet the medical profession lobbied and said you can't sell white willow bark, but you can certainly buy aspirin. Now, this is, in my opinion, wrong. You get to figure out if it's right in your opinion. But this is why I said, we're just looking at the essence of what is going sour. But I will tell you this, the next 4 days, we're not going to deal with a whole lot of that. Okay, Phil goes, someone once said something like, waiting for politicians to change the world is like waiting for dirty diapers to change themselves. Yeah, that's about the same idea. Okay. Oh, there we go. LA goes, it is, referring to white willow bark being the backbone of aspirin. It's also the basis for blood thinners, which is why they slowed it down. I found a very nice way. No, scratch that. Was a nice way. I found the whole idea of the 26th or 9th in my blood out reasonably well. Well, that's okay. Joseph goes, white willow bark needs processing or it has toxins. Well, here's the neat little thing. White willow bark probably does. I'm not debating it does. I will tell you, most of the medication out there probably has toxins as well. And it's all been processed. But now they're tailor-made toxins. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. I do know the medical society, the medical profession was designed with the right thing in mind. Try and keep people alive. Okay? But what you cannot medicate and you cannot legislate is common sense. You can't medicate or you cannot give somebody a pill to make them more intelligent. I mean, from what I gather, there is a pill you can do that makes it fire faster. It's not more intelligent. It's wiser. Okay. Common sense apparently does not come in a bottle. Although, common sense may not, but goofiness does. And, unless you're Johnny Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati, alcohol also improves coordination. Now, like I said, that's only according to Johnny Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati back, I think, about circa 73, 74-ish. They ran for a couple more years than that. But what we're going to be looking at for the rest of the week is we're going to be looking at the issue of what positive things are going on. What are these different societies and different organizations doing of a positive change? Oh, there you go. So goes there are pills that change the smells of our flatulence. Well, LA, turkeys can fly just like cows can. You look at Monty Python, they had the catapult. Okay. I'm pretty certain you can fit a turkey into a catapult and fire it off. But, and in all fairness, wild turkeys could fly. Way back when the Pilgrims first got here, wild turkeys could fly, albeit short distances. The domesticated ones were bred to not be able to fly. Well, who do you think put turkeys here in the first place? You get to figure that one out. But no, I'm looking at the world and going, okay, now, I'm not going into politics. People have asked why I don't run for prime minister. Well, the reason is simple. I don't lie well enough. Okay, and I'm not willing to compromise my values to fit somebody else's bill. Okay, am I going to be starting a church? Not by that name. But I will push limits here and see what I can do about guiding by example what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm going to be upgrading. I looked for the suit, like I said I would. I'm not going to go out and buy one. But I did come to the conclusion I was quite happy when I found this. Okay. What? Where is it? Over there. It's funny, when I put this on in the first place, I'm going, I get pretty warm, and how do I stop the leather on that from fraying? Well, put it on the outside of the shirt, problem solved. Yeah, Rachel, to be clear, a local herbalist brewed me up a whole pile of hawthornberry juice, which I take regularly. Okay, and honestly, I'm staying taking it until I run out. And then I'll have to find another way of getting it. But, Mothman, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I got it out. Oh, that's Philip. I recognize the name. I think that happens to be a politician in the area here. But have I met her personally? No. I really don't float around politicians very much. The neat part about the way this world is working is people say, oh, the politicians and the elites are the ones in control. They're only in control because everybody else believes they're in control. It's that simple. Okay. When you start realizing you've got dominant control over your own life, you are going to find that things change a whole lot faster for you in a positive fashion. The reality of it is that many of the hiccups that some of you guys go through, I've already gone through. Okay. I've already been an alcoholic. I've already been a drug addict. Oh, I know you can. Fortunately, I've got a guy upstairs that lives upstairs from me that makes me up a batch that makes me up a personal batch. Right. So I've got a fair stock. And, the trick is finding somebody. I mean, like Rachel is saying here, you can buy tinctures. Of course, the trick is finding somebody that makes the tinctures without compromising the quality of them. And those are real tricky to find. The reality is, like, I avoid the news like the plague because, frankly, well, actually, in all fairness, I can't even say that. During the Black Death, I was a coroner and a doctor, so I actually went out looking for the people that were ill. Okay, so I can't even say I go to avoid looking for it. There was a lifetime when I walked into the lepers camps to see what I could do about helping people. Okay, when I walked into the brothels to see what I could do about guiding people back onto a stable path. Well, that's the neat part, Joseph. Joseph goes, just let's remember, different rules in different countries. Absolutely. Now, the neat part about it is I follow 3 rules. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Doesn't matter what country I'm in, I still treat it the same way. Okay. That's the big thing that I found. You definitely have to follow the laws of the land in which you are. Absolutely you do. But it doesn't mean I have to buy into the belief structure that goes with it. All it means is I've got to do what is being said. This is why, I will sit here and go, this is what I believe. You don't have to believe what I do. You really don't. If you desire to believe that your God is better than the next guy's God, have that happy. Okay, and stand your ground on that. But the reality of it is, Joseph goes, C4 makes problems disappear. It does. This is why in one game system I wrote, and I'm actually including this part of it in. There was a little bar that was in the game system I was running. The game was Aftermath, and I had a little bar called Ground Zero. Come to think of it, Ground Zero is in the Elderbaking Chronicles already, but their claim to fame was simple: Ground Zero, come on in and have a blast. The ironic part was it got blown up because of that. But I am doing my best with help from all of you guys. Actually, there's a few that may pop in every now and again that don't fit into that. Okay. But we are doing our best here to go. This is a safe place for everybody, regardless of your spiritual background. You just have to show respect. Okay. It's just that simple. If you don't, I've already given Storm and LA. We're going to have to be a little more clear. Who, pray tell, is TOS? Because LA goes, let's all remember TOS, okay? I don't know who TOS is or what it is for that matter. Oh, okay. Absolutely there. This is one of those things in here. We have to keep an eye on that because they will shut us down. I made a comment about one medication, my personal view on it, and I got a slap on the wrist. Okay, the reality of it is this. I won't pick on any. From my standpoint, it's simple. I told my boys, if I'm not unconscious, I'm not going to the hospital. Okay, that's for me. But I will tell you this. When it comes to the medical world, if you're working with them, follow what they're telling you. If you don't agree with what they're telling you, talk to them about it. Gee, I thought COD was called cost of delivery. Money Vertigo. Not to worry, guys. Straight solved. The nice part about it is when we look at the way this world is, understand you have dominant control over your life. Quit pointing the finger at other people. Easy to say. Phil goes, our cafeteria hospital has a nice our local hospital has a nice cafeteria. I mean, that's about as far into the hospital as you go, because that's pretty much as far as I can go. Mind you, I suffer from PTSD triggered by the hospital. 15 minutes, LA. Thanks so much. Again, you got to remember when you're looking at the people working in the hospital, the people working in hospitality. Okay. Yeah, my experience in military hospitals was a whole lot less enjoyable than yours. Okay, now hospitals are no fun to hang around. In my case, I ended up in a military laboratory. Not a fun run. Okay, but the fact, the reality of it is this: when you're looking at the different workers, the different professions, understand they have a very difficult job. Okay, a very difficult job, especially if they've got rules in place that they've got to follow that don't make sense. But I was once told when I was working for Dairy Queen, somebody once told me they figured every single person should spend a minimum of 6 months working in a fast food restaurant. Okay, I'm a firm believer they should. Unfortunately, what I find is many people treat the staff in restaurants as absolute garbage. They do not respect them at all, and that creates a problem for me. I've seen people get absolutely belligerent with hospital people that are doing their best. Okay, now I got mad with the hospital personnel one day because I kid you not, I split this hand. Okay, I cut it bad enough to require 7 stitches. I went in there with a whole pile of paper towel in my hand, and my hand clamped over my thumb, and holding really tight. And I kid you not, the genius on the other side of the counter insisted that I was supposed to, that I insisted I had to fill out her paperwork before she would get me in and get me looked at. And I looked at her and I looked at my hand. I'm like, I take my hand off this. There's blood all over the place. She would not send me in to get looked at without the paperwork. So I finally, literally, I got mad. And I'm like, this, right? Well, there was blood from one end of the room to the other. Now, I already knew I didn't have any illness. I don't get sick. That made it easy. But I ended up writing off 2 of the computers because of the amount of blood that came out of my hand. Right. And I was none too happy about it. My dad, bless his soul, bit his tongue because he knew I was getting mad. Right. Because they were just being dense. But that is not the same with all hospital personnel. When I had the heart attack, I went in there and the one doctor, I have no idea what her name was. I do know the one nurse I had when I had the heart attack, her name was Sue. And she was an absolute on the ball doll. She went out of her way to make certain everything got sorted around. Oh, Lord. Yeah. And like goes, makes you wonder who breathes for them. Yeah. I'm sitting there going, okay, we have a problem. I take my hand off, you got blood all over the place. But I'm telling you, for those of you that are getting ahead in the world, where you're starting to come into a position of extra finance, or you've worked in places, you've worked in places that were hospitality or medical or any profession, treat the people working there as you desire to be treated. If you want to be treated like garbage, absolutely treat people like garbage. Somebody will step up to the plate and help. Okay. But in this chat room, in this stream, we are going to do our best to keep it safe and happy for everybody. Okay. Now, I'm not going to succeed. I'm really not. But I've seen the support I get in here, that the other people get in here. Somebody comes in with a problem. Happy to jump on and go, here's some ideas. Okay. This is a microcosm of the world that I desire to see happen. So am I going to keep pushing this idea? Certainly. So you can rest assured I'm not shutting the stream down anytime soon. But we do have to make some changes. Okay. Which is why I'm doing my best to get things organized. Now, tomorrow, we're still going to be looking at living positively in a negatively charged world. But we're going to look at it one-on-one. So absolutely, bring your questions. If you've got a situation that you're having trouble finding a positive link in, bring it up. I seem to be able to find reasonable access points. Joseph goes, I was a resource teacher. And that is one of those jobs that, I'm sure you had some really intelligent questions coming in there. I do have to ask you, Joseph, and I'm going to ask it tomorrow because we're running out of time here. Well, we are at 6:21. Yeah, the one thing I've found in every industry, there are always, now they say there's no stupid questions. I respectfully disagree. Okay. I knew of a aquatics instructor trainer who one of the students came to her on their final day of examination and goes, for our final exam, do we have to get in the water? Now, you recall my saying this was an aquatic instructor. The neat little part about all of this is we don't, as a society, have to turn around and wait for the government to tell us what is intelligent. Okay. We don't have to wait for a spiritual guide to tell you what God is looking for. You know what God is looking for. Whether you believe in God or you believe in you, doesn't matter. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, you want to get another take on it? Talk to as many different people with as many different outlooks as you can. Find a common denominator. The reality of it is this. There are intelligent ways of doing things. There are not so intelligent ways. Like, for instance, No, let's not go there. I was going to give a gaming reference, but somebody's going to take it the wrong way. The reality of it is, I just heard about something the other day. A guy, and I forget which city it was in, I think it was in New York. A guy was walking by a construction site. Somebody spotted the problem and pushed him out of the way. Well, the guy fell down and scraped his knee. Right. The reason he was pushed out of the way was because the other guy that was walking by spotted an air conditioner falling from the upper levels. Pushed him out of the way. The air conditioner did not survive. The guy did. But the guy turned around and sued the construction worker for pushing him down. Right. And then the guy that did the suing won. Now, this is one of those things when we look at it, we never did get it today, and I'm not going to spend any functional time on it, but the legal system is tied right to the political system. We've got to start using our brains. The fact you can do something doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Okay, that's just the reality behind it. But with this in mind, we are hitting the 2-hour mark here. I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with me today, with us today. I really do appreciate it. We will be back again tomorrow. But until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.